Hello, welcome to Grimerica. Whoops. Welcome to Adult Brain. That's my other thing. Adult Brain Audiobooks. I'm Graham, one of the narrators. I'm going to be finishing off book one of Francis Barrett's 1801 work called The MAGUS, or Celestial Intelligencer, being a complete system of occult philosophy. So we've gone through the whole first book, both parts, and this is the end of it, the last two chapters. So this will be a very quick a quick stream today, and this is just to show you. It kind of brings to some humanity to the channel. This is kind of how I do the work. I mean, this is a bit of a shortcut from how I would do it if I wasn't streaming. Like I would be using full screens and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you how I record and edit this as I go, and then I'm gonna just read probably the first page of book two, just as a little kind of teaser for YouTube. But I don't even know if I should do book two. I'm gonna probably, if I do, it'll probably be like there'll be a warning to it. It's kind of more of a grimoire than this one, or at least it seems more of like a intense grimoire, talking about summoning things in magic circles and evil spirits and witchcraft. And I mean, not that, I just don't think, I don't recommend that people play around with that stuff unless they're completely trained in it. So I'm unsure if we should even do the book, to be honest with you. This one was somewhat tamer, with like celestial influences and cosmic type stuff. The moon and the planets. Good afternoon, Sati. So I don't know, or I'll put a warning on it, like we don't recommend people follow this. It's for information purposes only. So I don't know. I'm going to talk to Darren, um, my partner slash editor, about it and see what he says. So let's just jump into it. We'll finish off this book here. I've got two cats bothering me today. I won't say they're bothering me, but they are around. Oh, and they're just stay. Okay, I'll let them do their thing. So we're at chapter 45 here. This is just raw and unedited. You'll see how it works. Hopefully I can do it fairly smoothly without a lot of mistakes. Chapter 45. That human imprecations naturally impress their powers upon external things, and how man's mind, through a degree of dependencies, ascends into the intelligible world and becomes like to the more sublime spirits and intelligences. I like that start of that chapter here, that title. Just going to expand this out a little bit. The new thought movement, I think it really does come from some of these old occult works about how important our thoughts are and how our thoughts are things, and how we manifest through by creating our thoughts with our thoughts. Everything starts with the thought, right? The celestial souls send forth their virtues to the celestial bodies, which transmit them to this sensible world. For the virtues of the terrene orb proceed from no other cause than celestial. Hence, the magician that will work by them uses a cunning invocation of the superiors with mysterious words and a certain kind of ingenious speech, drawing the one to the other, yet by a natural force through a certain mutual agreement between them, whereby things follow of their own accord, or sometimes are drawn unwillingly. Hence, says Aristotle in his sixth book of his mystical philosophy, that when anyone, by binding or bewitching, calls upon the sun or other stars, praying them to assist the work desired, the sun and other stars do not hear his words, but are moved after a certain manner by a certain conjunction and mutual series, whereby the parts of the world are mutually subordinate the one to the other, and have a mutual consent by reason of their great union. As in a man's body, one member is moved by perceiving the motion of another, and in a harp, one string is moved by the motion of another. Interesting, eh? So this is kind of what I mean. Like, this is the celestial stuff. It's a little tamer. Like, if you're looking towards resonances, or what's the other word? Sympathies with solar stuff and lunar stuff and celestial stuff. It's a little different than like summoning spirits, And they're talking about sympathetic resonance there with the harp string. So, when anyone moves any part of the world, other parts are moved by the perceiving of that motion. The knowledge, therefore, of the dependency of things following one the other is the foundation of all wonderful operation, which is necessarily required to the execs. I'm going to just redo that quickly here. The knowledge, therefore. Scroll up. The knowledge, therefore, of the dependency of things following one the other is the foundation of all wonderful operation, which is necessarily required to the exercising the power of attracting superior virtues. Now, the words of men are certain natural things, and because the parts of the world mutually draw one the other, therefore a magician invocation. Just redo that quickly. Where was I? Therefore. I can't find it. I can't. Oh, there we go. Therefore, a magician invocating by words works by powers fitted to nature, by leading some by the love of one to the other, or drawing others by reason of the one following after the other, or by repelling by reason of the enmity of one to the other, from the contrariety and difference of things and multitude of virtues, which, although they are contrary and different, yet perfect one part, sometimes also he compels things by way of authority, by the celestial virtue, because he is not a stranger to the heavens. A man, therefore, if he receives the impression of a legation or fascination, doth not perceive it according to the rational soul, but sensual. And if he suffers in any part, he suffers according to the animal part. For they cannot draw a knowing and intelligent man by reason, but by receiving that impression and force by sense. Inasmuch as the animal spirit of man is, by the influence of the celestials and cooperation of the things of the world, affected beyond his former and natural disposition. As the son moves the father to labor, although unwilling to keep and maintain him, although he be wearied, and the desire to rule is moved by anger and other labors to get the dominion, and the indigency of nature and fear of poverty moves a man to desire riches, and the ornaments and beauty of women is an incitement to concupiscence. And the harmony of a wise musician moves his hearers with various passions, whereof some do voluntarily follow the consonancy of art. Let me just redo that one quickly at the musician part. Whoops. And the harmony of check. And the harmony of a wise musician moves his. Sorry, I'll just turn that phone down. Check. And the harmony of a wise musician moves his hearers with various passions, whereof some do voluntarily follow the constancy of art, others conform themselves by gesture, although unwilling, because their sense is captivated, their reason not being intent to these things. Hence they fall into errors, who think those things to be above nature or contrary to nature, which indeed are by nature and according to nature. We must know, therefore, that every superior moves its next inferior in its degree and order, not only in bodies, but also in spirits. So the universal soul moves the particular soul. The rational acts upon the sensual, and that upon the vegetable, and every part of the world acts upon another, and every part is apt to be moved by another, and every part of this inferior world suffers from the heavens, according to their nature and aptitude, as one part of the animal body suffers for another. And the superior intellectual world moves all things below itself, and after a manner contains all the same beings, from the first to the last, which are in the inferior world. Celestial bodies therefore move the bodies of the elementary world, compounded, generable, sensible, from the circumference to the center, by superior, perpetual, and spiritual essences, depending on the primary intellect, which is the acting intellect, but upon the virtue put in by the word of God, which word the wise Chaldeans of Babylon call the cause of causes, because from it are produced all things. The acting intellect, which is the second, from it depends, and that by reason of the union of the word with the first author, from whom all things being are truly introduced. Whoops. Let's see here. I'm going to redo that one at the semicolon there. And that by reason of the union of the word with the first author, from whom all things being are truly produced. The word, therefore, is the image of God, the acting intellect, the image of the word. The soul is the image of this intellect, and our word is the image of the soul, by which it acts upon natural things naturally, because nature is the work thereof. And every one of those perfects his subsequent, as a father his son, and none of the latter exists without the former. For they're depending among themselves by a kind of ordinate dependency, so that when the latter is corrupted, it is returned into that which was next before it, until it come to the heavens, then to the universal soul, and lastly into the acting intellect, by which all other creatures exist, and itself exists in the principal author, which is the creating word of God, to which at length all things are returned. Our soul, therefore, if it will work any wonderful things in these inferiors, must have respect to their beginning, that it may be strengthened and illustrated by that, and receive power of acting through each degree from the very first author. Therefore, we must be more diligent in contemplating the souls of the stars than their bodies, and the supercelestial and intellectual world, than the celestial corporeal, because that is more noble. Although also this be excellent, and the way to that, and without which medium the influence of the superior cannot be attained to. As, for example, the sun is the king of stars, most full of light, but receives it from the intelligible world, above all other stars, because the soul thereof is more capable of intelligible splendor. Wherefore he that desires to attract the influence of the sun must contemplate upon the sun, not only by the speculation of the exterior light, but also of the interior. And no man can do this unless he return to the soul of the sun, and become like to it, and comprehend the intelligible light thereof with an intellectual sight, as the sensible light with the corporeal eye. For this man shall be filled with the light thereof, and the light whereof, which is an under type impressed by the supernal orb it receives into itself, with the illustration whereof his intellect being endowed and truly like to it, and being assisted by it, shall at length attain to that supreme brightness, and to all forms that partake thereof. And when he hath received the light of the supreme degree, then his then his shoal. That's a tongue twister. And his soul shall, his shoal shall. And when he hath received the light of the supreme degree, then his soul shall come to perfection, and be made like to spirits of the sun, and shall attain to the virtues and illustrations of the supernatural virtue, and shall enjoy the power of them if he has obtained faith in the first author. In the first place, therefore, we must implore assistance from the first author, and praying not only with mouth, but a religious gesture and supplicant soul, also abundantly, incessantly, and sincerely, that he would enlighten our mind and remove darkness growing upon our souls by reason of our bodies. Chapter 46. The conclusion of the constellatory practice, or talismanic magic, in which is included the key of all that has been written upon this subject, shewing the practice of images, etc., by way of example, and likewise the necessary observations of the celestials towards the perfection of talismanic operations. We will now shew the observations of celestial bodies, which are required for the practice of these things, which are briefly as follow. To make any one fortunate, we make an image at that time in which the significator of life, the giver of life, or Hylek, the signs and planets, are fortunate. Let the ascendant and mid-heaven, and the lords thereof be fortunate, and also the place of the sun and moon, part of fortune and lord of conjunction or prevention, make before their nativity by depressing the malignant planets, i.e., taking the times when they are depressed. But if we would make an image to procure misery, we must do contrary to this, and those which we would before placed fortunate, we must make now unfortunate by taking the malignant stars when they rule. And the same means we must take to make any place, region, city, or house unfortunate. But if you would make any one unfortunate who hath injured you, let there be an image made under the ascension of that man whom thou wouldst make unfortunate. And thou shalt take, when unfortunate, the lord of the house of his life, the lord of the ascendant and the moon, the lord of the house of the moon, the lord of the house of the Lord ascending, and the 10th house, and the Lord thereof. Now for the building, success, or fitting any place, place fortunes in the ascendant thereof. And in the 1st and 10th, the 2nd and 8th house, thou shalt make the Lord of the ascendant, and the Lord of the house of the moon fortunate. But to chase away certain animals from any place that are noxious to thee, that they may not generate or abide there, make an image under the ascension of that animal which thou wouldst chase away or destroy, and after the likeness thereof. For instance, now suppose you wouldst wish to chase away scorpions from any place. Let an image of a scorpion be made, the sign Scorpio ascending with the moon. Then thou shalt make unfortunate the ascendant, and the Lord thereof, and the Lord of the house of Mars. And thou shalt make unfortunate the Lord of the ascendant in the 8th house, and let them be joined with an aspect malignant, as opposite or square, and write upon the image the name of the ascendant, and the Lord thereof, and the moon, the Lord of the day and hour, and let there be a pit made in the middle of the place from which thou wouldst drive them, and put it into it some earth taken out of the 4 corners of the same place. Then bury the image there with the head downwards, saying, This is the burying of the scorpions, that they may be forced to leave and come no more into this place. And so do by the rest. Now for gain, make an image under the ascendant of that man to whom thou wouldst appoint the gain. And thou shalt make the Lord of the 2nd house, which is the house of substance, to be joined with the Lord of the ascendant in a trine or sextile aspect, and let there be a reception amongst them. Thou shalt make fortunate the 11th, and the Lord thereof, and the 8th. And if thou canst, put part of fortune in the ascendant or 2nd, and let the image be buried in that place, or from that place, to which thou wouldst appoint the gain or fortune. Likewise, for agreement of love. Oh, just got to stop that quickly, redo that. Scroll up while I can here. Check. Likewise, for agreement or love, let be made an image in the day of Jupiter, under the ascendant of the nativity of him who you would wish to be beloved. Make fortunate the ascendant in the 10th, and hide the evil from the ascendant. And you must have the lords of the 10th and planets of the 11th fortunate, joined to the Lord of the ascendant from the trine or sextile, with reception. Then proceed to make another image, for him who thou wouldst stir up to love, whether it be a friend or female or brother or relation, or companion of him who thou wouldst have favored or beloved. If so, make an image under the ascension of the 11th house from the ascendant of the first image. But if the party be a wife or a husband, let it be made under the ascension of the 7th. Excuse me. Scroll up while I take a break there. Excuse me. Check. If a brother, sister, or cousin under the ascension of the 3rd house, if a mother of the 10th, and so on. Now let the significator of the ascendant of the 2nd image be joined to the significator of the ascendant of the 1st, and let there be between them a reception, and let the rest be fortunate, as in the 1st image. Afterwards join both the images together in a mutual embrace, or put the face of the 2nd to the back of the 1st, and let them be wrapped up in silk and cast away or spoiled. Also, for the successive petitions and obtaining a thing denied or taken or possessed by another, make an image under the ascendant of him who petitions for the thing, and cause the lord of the second house to be joined with the lord of the ascendant from a trine or sextile aspect, and let there be a reception betwixt them. And if it can be so, let the lord of the second be in the obeying signs, and the lord of ascendant in the ruling. Make fortunate the ascendant and the lord thereof, and beware that the lord of the ascendant be not retrograde or combust or cadent or in the house of opposition, i.e., in the seventh from his own house. Let him not be hindered by the malignant planets, but let him be strong and in an angle. Thou shalt make fortunate the ascendant and the lord of the second and the moon, and make another image for him that is and make another, and make another image of him. Check. And make another image for him that is petitioned to, and begin it under the ascendant belonging to him, as if he is a king or prince, etc. Begin it under the ascendant of the 10th house from the ascendant of the first image. If a father, under the fourth, if a son, under the fifth, and so of the like. Then put the significator of the second image joined with the lord of the ascendant of the first image from a trine or sextile, and let him receive it. And put them both strong and fortunate, without any hindrance. Make all evil fall from them. Thou shalt make fortunate the 10th and the 4th, if thou canst, or any of them. And when the second image shall be perfect, join it with the first, face to face, and wrap them in clean linen, and bury them in the middle of his house, who is the petitioner, under a fortunate significator, the fortune being strong, and let the face of the first image be towards the north, or rather towards that place where the thing petitioned for doth remain. Or if it happens that the petitioner goes forward to obtain the thing desired or petitioned for, let him carry the said images with him. Thus we have given, in a few examples, the key of all talismanic operations whatsoever, by which wonderful effects may be wrought either by images, by rings, by glasses, by seals, by tables, or any other magical instruments whatsoever. I'm just going to stop here for the YouTube crowd and just pop open this graphic here, which talks about the plates and the seals and the talismans. So there's the seal of Saturn, it looks like right there. Lead, silver, iron, seal of the sun, Venus with these tables in there, Mercury, pure gold, copper, and silver and tin over here, and the seal of Mars up there. Okay, I'm going to continue on here. This is the end of the first book. But as these have their chief grounds in the true knowledge of the effects of the planets and the rising of the constellations, we recommend an earnest attention to that part of astrology which teaches of the power, influences, and effects of the celestial bodies amongst themselves generally. Likewise, we would recommend the artist to be expert in the aspects, motions, declinations, risings, etc., of the 7 planets, and perfectly to understand their natures, either mixed or simple. Also, to be ready and correct in the erecting of a figure at any time to shew the true position of the heavens. There being so great a sympathy between the celestials and ourselves, and to observe all the other rules which we have plentifully recited. And without doubt, the industrious student shall receive the satisfaction of bringing his operations and experiments to effect, that which he ardently desires. With which, wishing all success to the contemplator or the with which, wishing all success to the contemplator of the creature and the creator, we will here close up this second part of our work and the conclusion of our book of Talismanic Magic. Footnotes: those who would be perfect in the necessary knowledge of astrology ought to study from Coley his book called Clavis Astrologiae Eliminata. Called Clavis called Clavis Astrology Illimata, or his key new filed Salmon's Soul of Astrology, Lilies or Partridges Vade Mecum, or Middleton's Astrology. The end of the first book. So I'm just going to read. Why doesn't it take me to the next one? Okay, I'm going to just go quickly to. I'm going to share the PDF instead. Let's see, what can I do? Let's see if I move this over. What are you seeing on YouTube here? There it is. So this is the next book. I'm going to read the first page here, but I'm not too sure, like I said, if I should do this or not. It's some of it will be really good, and this will be where it gets fun, but also kind of more interesting and probably a bit scary. And some people might, I don't know if they'll be offended to it or I think it's evil or whatever, but it will be like more of a grimoire on how to do these things. So this is containing magnetism and Cabalistic magic, to which is added a treatise on prophecy, prophetic dreams, and inspiration. So book 2, part 1 is magnetism. So this is just before chapter 1, but this is just the intro to magnetism. Just going to zoom in a bit here. In our following treatise of magnetism, we have collected and arranged in order some valuable and secret things out of the writings of that most learned chemist and philosopher Paracelsus, who was the ornament of Germany and the age that he lived in. Likewise, we have extracted the very marrow of the science of magnetism out of the copious and elaborate works of that most celebrated philosopher by fire, Van Helmont, who, together with Paracelsus, industriously promulgated all kinds of magnetic and sympathetic cures, which, through the drowsiness, ignorance, unbelief, and obstinacy of the present age, they're talking back then, the age was like that. You should try the 20th century. Have been so much and so totally neglected and condemned, yet, however impudent in their assertions and bigoted to their own false opinions, some of our modern philosophers may be, yet we have seen 2 or 3 individuals who, by dint of perseverance, have proved the truth and possibility of magnetism by repeated and public experiments. Indeed, the ingenious invention of the magnetic tractors prove at once that science should never be impeded by public slander or misres. Isn't that interesting, eh? This is back in the 1700s. Obviously, this book came out right at the beginning of the 19th century, but it says here, I'm just going to read that sentence again. Indeed, because we know this is mesmerism, right? This is back from when they first realized that this mesmerism and magnetism was a thing and they could mesmerize people. So it's a real thing now. I mean, I know they still try and debunk it nowadays, but it's been a real thing for hundreds of years. But indeed, the ingenious invention of the magnetic tractors prove at once that science should never be impeded by public slander or misrepresentation of facts that have proved to be of general utility. And we do not doubt that we shall be able to shew by the theory and practice delivered in the sequel that many excellent cures may be performed by a due consideration and a tentative observance of the principles upon which sympathy, antipathy, magnetic attraction, etc., are founded, and which will be fully illustrated in the following compendium. We shall hasten to explain the first principles of magnetism by examining the magnetic or attractive power. I wonder where the other one is. I should bring this one over because this one's whoops. Where'd the other one go? Are you seeing that now on YouTube? There we go. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of tease some of this, but it's this is like the original book with all the F's instead of the S's in it. So if we get into so check some of this out. Like this is chapter 6 here. of intelligences and spirits, and of the threefold kind of them, different names of infernal and so they're talking about the subterranean and infernal spirits here, and they've got sketches of some of these things. So it's getting a bit creepy for those who might get creeped out by this stuff. Of the order of evil spirits and their fall, different natures. It gets into like Cabalistic stuff and the magic circles and all that. So, I mean, I don't know. Do I put a warning? Do I put a warning there? Some of this will be hard to narrate, but I'm going to narrate it no matter what. It's just whether I do it on YouTube or not. That's all. I don't know if it might even be bad for our channel and the algos and all that. So this is the old sort of cool looking PDF that I've had for years wanting to read. I'm looking for the magic circles here quickly, but anyways, I won't waste any more time with that. So just my thoughts on it. I'm going to do it either way. Oh, there's the biographer too. So that's the end is a biography, which is awesome because it's got a huge lit. Let me just find the list here at the end. I've got it all written down in my notes here. So it's got a biography of Zoroaster, Hermes, Apollonius of Tyana, Dabano, Apuleius, Aristotle, Artemidorus. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name yet. Ephesus, the Babylonians, Agrippa, Albertus Magnus, Roger Bacon, Raymond Lully, George Ripley, John and Isaac Holland, Theophrastus Paracelsus, Theophrastus Bombastus Paracelsus, John Rudolph Glauber, Dr. D, and Sir Edward Kelly, and the conclusion. So that's book 3 at the very end. That'll be fun. That'll be fun to do. Anyways, that's it for today. The box of Pandora was already open. There everywhere and possess a lot of people you see around. Yes, it's scary, but you can see it live live every day. Yeah, I agree with you, Sati. And so part of me thinks like it's just good to have it out there so people can see what it's at this point they can just see and judge. They can see where this stuff came from, what it's about, what people are practicing, and then sort of maybe help it by bringing it more public, I guess. That's kind of my thought about it, but I also don't want to wreck things or anything like that, or to be irresponsible. So yeah, I'll probably do it, and I'll just put a warning or something. We don't recommend following the practices in this book. This is for information purposes only. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you. Have a good day. It's a holiday here, Monday. Well, it's not a holiday for us, but it is a long weekend here for a lot of people. So get some work done around the house. Thank you, and we'll see you probably tomorrow.